Thank you for watching, everyone. For our latest Artemis Live video interview, I'm delighted to welcome Jorge Familiar, Vice President and Treasurer of the World Bank. Now, Jorge's team at the World Bank is responsible for capital markets operations, and between them, they oversee annual funding programs for a total of around US 60 to 70 billion through bonds issued by the IBRD and the IDA. Now, this includes the catastrophe bonds and some other insurance-related risk transfer instruments that the World Bank uses to facilitate disaster protection on behalf of its members, and this includes the just completed 630 million Chilean earthquake catastrophe bond and catastrophe swap arrangements. So it's really fantastic to speak with you today, Jorge. Thanks for sparing us some time. It's great to see you.
Thank you so much, Steve. Great to see you too.
So to begin, I thought maybe you could just explain a little around how closely the World Bank has worked with Chile throughout this cat bond and catastrophe swap process.
Oh, very closely, Steve. Chile is a terrific partner to work with. It's a sophisticated country. The Public Debt Office of Chile was instrumental in making this happen. As it happens with sophisticated clients, Chile knew what they wanted. They were on top of the process, and we worked together throughout it to put together this very successful transaction. The partnership, is very broad, as you can imagine, as from the perspective of the World Bank and Chile, and it has been for many years. In the cat bond space, we had a previous experience. As you probably know, in 2008, Chile was part of the cat bond that was issued for the Pacific Alliance by the World Bank, the first multi-country cat bond ever issued in the world, and also a very large transaction. This happened in 2018.
Yeah, so it was great to see them coming back and looking to access these alternative forms of capital for their disaster risk protection, and also good to see that the protection actually upsized compared to that 2018 deal. But perhaps you could tell us what, if any, challenges have been faced along the way and maybe how you work through those.
Well, there are always challenges when you put together, innovative transactions. There always are, issues that need to be dealt with, and in this particular context that we are seeing in markets with, inflation, tighter monetary policy, more restrictive financing conditions, it was extremely important to be on the lookout for the right time to go out with the transaction, and also the design of the transaction itself. As you know, half of the transaction was a cat bond, and the rest was reinsurance in swap forms, and this was done precisely to maximize the opportunities of success for the benefit of Chile. And I think that that was in the end what we got out of the transaction.
Yes, and it certainly executed well for them. But when you think of the sponsor, I mean, a sophisticated country like Chile with a sophisticated government, but how important is the role of the World Bank as an intermediary and facilitator in these transactions in helping them to access this form of risk transfer?
So I think that the World Bank plays a significant role in helping governments and public entities, manage a variety of risks in general, and this includes, of course, catastrophic risk. And I think that this question can be also looked at or thought of from a very broad perspective, right? I mean, we are in the development space. We are into eradicating poverty, reducing inequality, promoting sustainability. So in this sense, we have a deep and continuous dialogue with countries. Disaster risk management is an important part of that dialogue, and it starts from building resilient infrastructure to helping countries put together the financial safety nets that can be used when a natural disaster actually materializes. And cat bonds and reinsurance transactions like this one, are one element that go into those let's say strategies that we work with countries to put together. In the specific case of of this transaction, I also believe, and you know, our activities in markets on cat bonds, I think that our AAA matters. The standing of the World Bank as a strong issuer in international financial markets clearly matters, and the experience that we have from our own market-facing operations and what we have done for the benefit of other countries in the past, makes a difference and adds value.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I think the value that is brought to these arrangements is really significant, and it's great to see them continuing. Do you feel the profile of risk transfer and these types of insurance solutions is rising among the countries and governments that constitute your members? And do you hope to see more of them looking to cat bonds and similar structures?
I certainly think so. I think that risk management is an important element of development. It's an important element of sustainability. I mean, if we think about some types of disasters, natural disasters, right? They are directly related to issues like climate change, and if anything, we will see a higher intensity and higher frequency of disasters, unfortunately, and hence countries need to be prepared. And cat bonds, reinsurance, these are tools that need to be available for countries to to take care of these risks and to protect the hard-won gains in terms of development. So, we certainly will be there for our client countries, and I do believe that there will be more demand. Then also, I do believe that we have been doing innovative things that prove that there is value to be added by putting together transactions like this one and like others that we have done. And what comes to mind is the case of Jamaica. Not so long ago, we helped Jamaica issue a cat bond, and in that case, donors supported Jamaica in the payment of the premium in recognition of Jamaica's efforts on the fiscal consolidation front. So, this is another example of how different elements of a development agenda come together in the execution of a market-facing transaction in the cat bond space.
No, that's a great point, and it was very interesting to see how Jamaica has layered their approach to risk management and risk protection as well, and that's really helped to open up the capital markets for them. And I think similar will occur for other sponsors out there. But when you think about the sort of the investor support for these arrangements, I mean, obviously the cat bonds enable you to tap into private capital sources. Are you pleased with the response and the support that you've received?
We are extremely pleased with the response, and as I mentioned earlier, markets have been going through a period of volatility, and there are many elements of uncertainty. So, finding the right time and the right structure to do this was important, and I don't think that the outcome could have been any better. No, I actually am very pleased with the result of the operation. By going simultaneously in bond and swap form, really created value for Chile. As you mentioned, the size of the operation kept going up as market interest started materializing, and then the pricing of the operation came out at very reasonable terms. So, strong demand that helped us create significant value for Chile.
Absolutely. And that demand from the investor side seems quite strong at the moment, and the market seems to be building some real momentum again at this point in time. Do you see that as an opportunity for governments to perhaps capitalise on this, and should perhaps some countries that might have been thinking about it look to the next 12 months as the time to bring a cat bond to market?
I think so, and again, working for a development institution, I tend to look at both sides of the transaction, not just the execution in the markets, right, but also the dialogue with client countries. I think that this is a good time to make this part of our development-related, conversations, and I do believe that the market will be there. And there is value in World Bank sponsored cat bonds as well. No, so we would be very happy to partner with other countries and supporting them navigate this space for successful operations.
Mm. And looking ahead, I mean, where else do you think the World Bank could work with the cat bond market? Do you see any opportunities in other types of risks potentially, or other types of sponsors?
Well, it's something that we have been doing throughout the years. We we help countries manage different types of risks, and I do believe that we will have opportunities to do more of that in the future. And then the other space where we have been doing lots of interesting things is in the space of outcome-based bonds. We issued two in a relatively short period of time. One supports wildlife conservation, black rhino conservation in South Africa. And more recently, we issued a bond that takes advantage of the carbon credits created in a project in Vietnam to pretty much self-finance that project. So I do believe that in these two areas, cat bonds, or three areas, cat bonds, other types of risk management interventions, and outcome-based bonds, there is space and opportunity to do more.
And those other transactions you mentioned, I find fascinating because they're an alternative way of sourcing contingent capital that really helps to make a difference in developmental terms. And I certainly see the potential to blend those with the cat bond as well in future, perhaps, which could be very interesting.
And let me add something in this regard, right? Because another interesting element is that the foundation of all this is the World Bank's funding program, right? So the proceeds of these bonds go to fund sustainable development. So if investors are looking at creating impact and having impact from a development point of view, from a perspective of creating positive externalities, right? The basic structure in which everything else is built is a sustainable development bond, right? And then everything else is extra sustainability that is being, let's say, created. So I think that these are interesting opportunities for investors as well.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, Jorge. Thank you so much for speaking with me today. I really appreciate you sparing some time for us.
Thank you so much, Steve. Very nice meeting with you.
And you. Thanks, Jorge.